Yo, K-Kunnnn here. Today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to play BURNICE and how to maintain your heat gauge 100% of the time. I'll be displaying some low and high intensity scenario gameplays where you might encounter these situations and you can apply these tips and tricks there. Well, as long as you remember them. And obviously I'm not here to dictate your fun. You're playing the game, I'm not playing the game for you. So if you want to follow or don't follow the tips, it's alright. ZZZ is a pretty easy game. Well, if you're fighting the ballerina twins or the shadow enemies or maybe Millennia type enemies in the future, then yeah, that's a different story. So anyways, let's get into the video. Tip number 1, her bread and butter combo. I have found that is the most efficient and you can pretty much get like 100% uptime on her heat gauge without relying on your ult to get 50 heat back instantly, and that move is her basic EX hold skill and then using your directional keys or joysticks. Let me explain why I love this simple yet effective tech of BURNICE. With this, you can technically stay in this flamethrower state infinitely if you just keep spamming her dodge or repositioning state as long as you have energy to expend. So my testing here is that the energy consumption is practically the same. The only thing that's different is the accumulation rate of how much heat you can get back. But what I like about the basic hold EX skill is it gives you the freedom to reposition yourself and avoid enemy attacks. With her double shot, yes, there is like a 40% reduced damage, but if you're in high intensity situations like Shiyu defense, ambush node, or you're doing like Withering Garden, you're better off having the ability to dodge and not take damage in the first place. And for me, the dopamine rush when I dodge when I'm using her skill is so satisfying. Hehehe, can't touch this. And be aware of the startup frames of her hold EX skill, which you can see in the video where I'm spamming the W key trying to dodge, but the startup frames takes a while to finish to get to the active frames where you can input any directional movement keys to do her dodge. Yo, so we're here at DaVinci Resolve or DaVinci Resolve, whatever you call it. So we're here to get some frame data on BURNICE's like E skill. So we're running the game at 60 FPS and the recording at 60 FPS as well. Let's get started with like the frame data. So it starts around at the 10th frame. From what 10th frame? So I pressed E there and it should activate the E hold skill over here. So you can see the startup frames are going to activate here. You can see there. So it's been 20 frames and I've pressed W over there. As you can see, press W, W, W again. She's still not dodging. So around like here at 50 frames and she should start. Yeah, there we go. She started her dodge animation there. Around, let me see if I pressed it again. Around at 50 frames and yeah, there we go. She dodged there at 50 frames. So from my estimations, around like 40 to 50 frames ish is where you can input your dodge. Yeah, I just want to point out as well, just in case you somehow get BURNICE's M1, which gives you an additional 40 heat, which in theory will help you stay in the cocktail state a bit longer since you have like 5 additional procs of afterburn, which is like 40 minus 8. But there is also the fact that building up heat when you're doing her basic hold EX skill, which will take a bit longer to fully max out her gauge, and it will consume a lot more energy. So from time to time, doing her double shot might be better because it will build her heat gauge much more quickly. I have tried it out and man, does it take a while to build it up when you have M1. So that's something to keep in mind if you got lucky and obtained her M1. Which leads me to tip number 2, use your double shot and hold basic attacks sparingly, unless you're in low intensity scenarios where you know bursting the enemies by using your hold basic into the double back shot will be faster. So for me, the only time I will use her hold basic attack is when I know I can burst down a group of trash enemies as long as I can crowd control, and be sure to do the long version by holding her attack button or just hold left click because more damage, anomaly buildup, and a little bit more energy, then do her double back shot to get back some heat. The only time I do the double back shot is when I'm really down bad for BURNICE. I mean when I'm down bad on heat or when I defensive assist, or maybe if you have like M4 and M6, then yeah, you're incentivized advised to use your double back shot to do more damage. But this will be up to your own intuition, and my intuition right now is telling me that you should subscribe to the channel so I can stay in the basement. So thank you for that. So for example, in this ambush node 5, I did a double back shot because I was so close to depleting her heat. Trying to go back to her cocktail state will be more of a hassle, so I'd rather spend more energy to stay in her cocktail state a little bit longer. And for defensive assist, I usually tap E or hold E depending on how much I have used up, which leads me into tip number 3. Heat management is one of the most important bars when you're playing BURNICE. Look at the heat gauge under her HP. The gauge isn't gonna maintain itself if you don't look at it, obviously. So this is the different indicators which helps me manage my heat gauge. 100%, we chillin'. 80% to 70%, we're still chilling. Maybe a parry and a tap E, and we're actually chilling there. 50%, we might consider doing her hold EX skill. 20%, okay, I might consider the double shot. 1%, okay, I really need the back shot right now. 0%, it's Jover. Tip number 4, you might want to run the 2-piece swing jazz or the energy set on her because 1, consistent energy gain. I think everyone who's running a swing jazz without her signature engine is around 1.87 energy, which is enough to maintain her heat gauge up as long as you're not being a dummy head and spamming her whole basic attack and double shot. I have tried running her with 4-piece Chaos Jazz and 2-piece Freedom Blues for more damage. I haven't farmed her Inferno Metal, which is her highest damage disc drive combo according to I Win to Lose and I Am Ravenous' calculations. But with 2 Freedom Blues, it's pretty good as well. But if you keep spamming her whole basic and do her double shots pretty often, then that's where we will have an issue. The only place you won't start with a decent amount of energy when you're doing Blitz or Withering Garden, so getting energy there is pretty rough in the start, but as long as you can get some of the resonums that supplies you with energy, you'll be good. In Shield Defense and Ambush node, I think you can get away with running like a 2-piece Anomaly and 2-piece Inferno Metal instead of a Swing Jazz since you start with decent amount of energy. You just have to not spam your hold basic and double back shots and you'll be good. But hey, whatever you're running right now in your account and it works, I don't think you need to change anything. But if you're still building her disc drives, why not try Swing Jazz? Or if you just have like a Swing Jazz that's catching dust in your account that has like fire damage bonus, anomaly mastery, maybe an attack percentage, or maybe like anomaly proficiency, why not use it if you don't mind lowering your damage a bit? But hey, if you're playing her really decent and paying attention to her heat gauge, I don't think you need to worry about it that much. Which leads me to tip number 5, which is the most important one. Don't get tunnel vision. If you fixate on one tip and try searching a perfect situation for that tip to mid-max BURNICE's gameplay, I feel like you're just getting lost in the sauce and your performance with her will hit rock bottom. You're better off just playing normally. If that scenario shows up, hey, that's a good time to use tip number 1 or tip number 3. Just don't overthink it and just play how you normally would and use the tips and tricks you've learned from me or from other CCs to adapt it on your own playstyle. Because at the end of the day, a character is not OP if the players playing them is stinky poo-poo at the game. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Subscribe so I can stay in the basement, like for the algorithm, and leave down in the comments what other tips for BURNICE that you know that I've missed. Because I feel like I missed something but I don't know what it is. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye!